Hello everyone! Today we continue with another video of Hoài Ca and Hùng. After a quiet year of carefully tending each row of soil and every small yam vine creeping across the garden ground, Hoài Ca finally reached the harvest day she had been waiting for through so many months. Standing in the familiar old garden, a place still marked by memories of the flood from years before, she felt emotions rising in her heart that were hard to put into words. This land had once been submerged in murky water, a sight that left her standing still as she watched the current carry away so many hopes. And yet today, in that very same place, she held a small hoe in her hand and gently dug into the moist soil still scented with silt. As she dug, Hoài Ca felt a quiet sense of anticipation. It wasn't loud or dramatic, but it was enough to make her heart beat a little faster than usual. She did not dare to set her expectations too high or dream of impressive numbers. What she hoped for was simple, that the harvest would at least make up for a year of steady effort, that it would prove her hard work had not been in vain. Over the past year, from scorching sunny days to chilly windy afternoons, she had personally cared for every vine, carefully mounding the soil, pulling weeds, and keeping the ground moist. Each small task was repeated day after day, silent yet persistent, much like the way she faced life itself. When the first strokes of the hoe gently parted the soil, Hoài Ca held her breath. Suddenly, a portion of a yam emerged under the light, rounder and firmer than she had imagined. She knelt down and brushed away the remaining soil with her hands, revealing its full shape. The yam was not only large but evenly formed with smooth, sturdy skin. In that moment, her eyes lit up. The joy came naturally, without display, just a soft smile spreading across her face, still dusted with soil. "I didn't expect such small vines to produce such big yams," she murmured to herself, her voice carrying both surprise and quiet pride. For a whole year, she had watched those slender vines crawl along the ground, often wondering whether the earth beneath truly held the fullness she hoped for. On the surface, they seemed simple, even fragile. But hidden underneath was a long process of steady growth. Perhaps it was just like her own quiet efforts, unnoticed, unhurried, yet gradually building results. That flood had once kept her awake through many restless nights. When the water rose and swept across the garden, she stood there with a heavy heart. All the hopes she had placed in this land seemed to dissolve into the current. She had thought everything was over, that months of effort had been washed away. In the nights that followed, she could barely sleep, imagining having to start again from the beginning. But time passed. The water receded. The soil dried. A layer of silt settled across the garden, silently nourishing the seeds that remained. The sandy soil, which once seemed weak, proved more resilient than she had believed. It quietly held each root, preserved nutrients, and over the days and months, the yams beneath continued to grow in silence. No one could see that process. There were no obvious signs. Only when she dug them up did she realize that beneath stillness lay a journey of patient accumulation. Hoài Ca continued digging up several more plants. Each yam was firm and full. The joy she felt was no longer just surprise, it gradually turned into reassurance. At least her year had not been wasted. At least the land had responded to her perseverance in its own way. She carefully selected the largest yams to bring home and sell. To her, they were not merely harvested products, but the fruits of patience. The smaller ones, she gently covered back with soil, leaving them in the garden as seed stock for the next season. She believed that if she knew how to preserve and multiply what she had, next year's yield would be even better. This decision was not impulsive. It came from a year of observation and learning. Standing upright in the middle of the garden, Hoài Ca looked around. A soft breeze moved across the remaining vines on the ground. What she felt at that moment was not only joy at having something to sell, but a deep sense of confidence. It was not just about income or money. More than that, it was faith in the land, in the resilience of nature, and in herself. She understood that some things take a long time before results appear. Some losses seem impossible to recover from, but if one remains patient and keeps believing, even land that has been hurt can revive. And just like this garden, after days of flooding and nights of worry, she chose to stay, to care for it, to begin again little by little. This harvest day, therefore, did not only mark the end of a planting season, it opened hope for the seasons to come. From the first yams emerging from the moist soil, Hoài Ca saw not just the reward of a year's labor, but also the path ahead, where faith is cultivated in the same way she had nurtured each small yam vine throughout the passing months. While Hoài Ca remained devoted to her fields, pouring her heart into every row of soil and still holding on to the quiet joy of harvest, Hùng, in another place, was having a meeting that left him deeply reflective as the old year slowly came to an end. His reunion with his former boss was not loud or extravagant. It was simply a year-end gathering, a chance to sit together once more. Yet it carried with it the weight of memories and emotions from a long journey they had shared. The two had worked in the same unit for 10 years. Those 10 years were not merely a number measured in time, but a chapter filled with pressure, danger, and countless long nights spent handling complex cases. It was a period of youthful passion, of responsibility and discipline placed above all else. Looking back, both of them understood that their bond was more than just a superior, subordinate relationship. It was a comradeship forged through hardship. This time, they raised cups of tea in place of New Year wishes, their eyes reflecting mutual respect. There was no need for elaborate words. A few sincere questions were enough to bring back a flood of memories. Hùng spoke about his time working in the border region, where he had been transferred after years at his previous unit. It was a completely different environment, vast territory, challenging terrain, sophisticated crime, and local residents who were still unfamiliar with legal regulations. Each day carried unpredictable risks. During his early days there, Hùng faced many difficulties. Far from home, away from his aging mother and the woman he loved, he stepped into the new environment with determination, but also a heavy heart. On some nights, standing guard in the silent borderlands, watching the distant scattered lights, he felt the depth of his loneliness. Yet in those very moments, the responsibility of a soldier kept him steady. He reminded himself that this was not merely a job. It was a trust placed in him by the organization and a hope carried by the people living at the front line. Gradually, through persistence and sincerity, Hùng adapted. He made an effort to connect with local residents, explain the law, and participate in community activities to build trust. The cautious glances he once received slowly softened. People became more open and willing to cooperate when incidents occurred. The work remained demanding, but it found stability. Hùng was no longer the hesitant newcomer. Instead, he grew composed and mature in handling every situation. As he listened, his former boss fell silent for a long time. He understood what Hùng had endured, including the silent sacrifices behind those simple words. After careful thought, the older man gently said he would request his superiors to consider transferring Hùng closer to home after the Lunar New Year. It was not an act of favoritism, but well-deserved recognition for his dedication and perseverance. A young officer willing to accept difficult assignments and steadfastly overcome challenges deserved the chance to stabilize his life. The news felt like a warm breeze in the chilly days of late year. Hùng could not hide his emotion. All his quiet efforts had finally been acknowledged. Being assigned closer to home meant more than convenience. It meant being able to spend more time with his mother, no longer hearing her voice grow a little friendlier with each phone call. And above all, it opened the possibility for him to think about his own future, about building the home he had long hoped for. Yet amid this budding joy, the atmosphere shifted when his former boss quietly mentioned something that had haunted him for more than 20 years, his missing niece. It was a memory that had never faded. Every Lunar New Year, when families reunited, he would take out an old photograph, yellowed by time, and stare at it for a long while. In that photo was the innocent face of a little girl, her eyes still clear and untouched by life's burdens. He shared that a single careless moment years ago had led to the child's disappearance. It happened so quickly, leaving behind a void that could never truly be filled. Over the years, the family had searched tirelessly, asking everywhere they could, but the information remained faint and uncertain. No one knew where the child was now, whether she was living peacefully or had endured hardships. That unanswered question followed him year after year, becoming an ache that time could not erase. Each time he saw families reunited at the end of the year, his heart tightened. He blamed himself for that brief moment of carelessness and wondered if things would have been different had time turned back. The longing was not loud, but it lingered like a wound that had never healed. Despite a busy career and the steady flow of life, that emptiness remained within him. Hung listened in silence, sensing the heaviness in the voice of the once strong and decisive leader. He understood that behind the calm exterior lay a private sorrow untouched by time. This year-end meeting thus became more than a moment to reminisce or share good news. It was also a space for deeply buried feelings to surface. Outside, the atmosphere of the Lunar New Year was gradually spreading, bringing with it hope and new beginnings. Yet within every heart, there were things still unresolved. And in that mixture of joy and reflection, the story of Hung and his former boss continued like the quiet current of life itself, where happiness and longing, achievement and regret exist side by side as the final days of the year gently pass by. Late afternoon slowly gave way to evening after a day filled with emotion. The small road in front of the house still held thin streaks of rainwater, glistening under the faint yellow streetlights. Hung returned home when the sky had already darkened, carrying with him the lingering thoughts from his earlier meeting. At almost the same moment, Hoài Ca quietly pushed the door open and stepped inside, her hands still marked with traces of soil from harvesting yams in the light drizzle. The rain had not been heavy, but it was enough to dampen her shoulders and let the chill slowly seep into her body. She coughed softly, her voice turning hoarse from a mild cold. That small detail was enough for Hung to notice immediately. The joy he had been holding inside quietly stepped aside, replaced by concern. He did not ask many questions. Instead, he gently told her to change into dry clothes and walked straight into the kitchen himself. His movements were familiar, simple, yet thoughtful, washing rice, rinsing vegetables, placing a pan on the stove. The sound of oil sizzling and the aroma of tomatoes simmering with dried meat gradually filled the small kitchen, creating a warmth that pushed back the cold lingering outside. Hung prepared her medicine in advance, poured a glass of warm water, and reminded her carefully. He told her to take the medicine right after eating, to cover herself with an extra blanket at night, and not to underestimate even a mild cold. His care did not need grand gestures. It showed itself in small, concrete actions, quiet but unmistakable. Under the soft yellow kitchen light, their shadows stretched gently across the wall, forming a peaceful scene in the final days of the year. During their simple meal, Hung slowly shared the good news he had received. He spoke about the possibility of being transferred closer to home after the Lunar New Year. His voice was calm rather than overly excited, but his eyes revealed unmistakable hope. It was the result of months of dedication, long night shifts, and responsibilities fulfilled in silence. Hoài Ca paused for a moment. She set her chopsticks down and looked at him, as if to be sure she had heard correctly. Then a slow smile spread across her face, still pale from her cold. To her, it was not just good news for Hùng. It was a shared joy, a chance for their lives to grow closer. If he were transferred nearby, they would have more time together. Meals would no longer be conversations through phone calls. Evenings would not carry the worry of whether he was eating properly far away. The long separations might finally begin to fade. The small kitchen seemed warmer. Outside, the rain still fell lightly, but inside was the gentle atmosphere of sharing and understanding. They spoke about simple, ordinary things. If he came closer, he could help her more with the garden, go to the market with her early in the morning, stay home when she was sick without the burden of distance. Just imagining those small possibilities was enough to ease their hearts. Yet when the conversation casually touched on the word family, the air subtly slowed. Hoài Ca fell quiet. Her gaze drifted somewhere far away, toward something unseen. She did not truly know her own origins. Any memories of relatives were fragmented and incomplete. Every Lunar New Year, when families gathered and laughter filled the neighborhood, a quiet emptiness would rise within her. That emptiness was not loud. It did not bring her to tears, but it was enough to make her feel still amid the joy of others. She had often wondered whether somewhere out there, someone remembered her, whether anyone had once searched for a lost child. Over time, however, that question had become a silent habit, rarely spoken aloud. Hùng noticed the subtle shift in her eyes. He did not rush to say anything grand. He understood that some sorrows could not be erased with promises. Gently, he placed his hand on the table and spoke in a steady voice. If he were transferred closer to home, he would try to look for information, ask around, and follow even the smallest clues. Not because he was certain he would find answers, but because he did not want her to carry that emptiness alone. He said that even the faintest hope was worth trying. Somewhere, perhaps someone still remembered and waited for her. Time might blur many things, but family bonds, if they still existed, would not disappear easily. He did not promise the impossible. He only promised that if there were a chance, he would walk that journey with her. Hoài Ca did not reply immediately. She simply nodded softly, her eyes warming in the small space filled with quiet affection. Outside, the rain gradually thinned. Inside the modest home, amid the lingering scent of dinner and the warmth of their shared meal, a new hope was gently planted like yams growing silently beneath moist soil, waiting for the day when light would finally reach them. That midday meal was nothing luxurious or elaborate. It was simply a collection of humble dishes they had prepared themselves from familiar ingredients at home. A plate of fresh green vegetables still held its natural sweetness. A bowl of hot soup sent thin streams of steam into the air. A small portion of richly braised meat rested at the center of the old wooden tray, worn smooth by time. Everything was rustic and simple, much like the life they had been carefully preserving day by day. Yet inside that small house, the atmosphere felt unusually warm. It was not a warmth created by material things, but by their presence beside one another, by understanding glances and stories shared after days apart. Soft sunlight filtered through the window, reflecting off the floor that still carried a faint trace of dampness from the previous rain. Outside, the Lunar New Year was drawing very near. The rhythm of life in the small neighborhood had begun to grow livelier. The sound of people cleaning, brooms sweeping courtyards, vehicles passing by with goods. The scent of the year's final days seemed to settle into every corner of the house. Amid all those movements, the simple midday meal became a meaningful pause. The successful harvest had marked an important milestone. The yams they had dug up were not only the fruits of labor, but also proof of perseverance and faith that had not yielded to hardship. After the flood that once left Hoài Ca fearing complete loss, seeing the land revive and produce such a good yield was something she had never dared to fully expect. Yet the results now answered the restless nights she had endured. They brought new hope, the hope that if she remained patient, the land would continue to nourish future seasons, and life itself would gradually grow more stable. At the same time, Hung's possible job transfer opened another chapter. It was not merely a change of workplace, but a shift in the rhythm of their lives. If he were assigned closer to home, the physical distance that once forced them to wait would no longer feel so overwhelming. Meals like this would not be rare occasions. Moments of illness or exhaustion would not have to be endured in silence. The future ahead was not entirely clear, but at least there was direction, a glimmer of light strong enough for them to believe in long-term stability. Amid the many concerns of life, from fields and work to unspoken personal sorrows, what kept them steady was love and genuine care for one another. It was not grand promises, but the quiet way Hung cooked when Hoài Ca felt unwell, the silent way she maintained the garden while waiting for him to return. That support was not loud or showy, yet it was strong enough to carry them through each phase of life. Under the gentle midday light, they sat together and spoke of ordinary things. No one dwelled too much on past losses, nor did they paint distant, unrealistic dreams. Instead, they spoke of small plans and simple wishes, planting a few more rows next season, having a job closer to home, building a household with fewer empty spaces. Each thought felt like a tender sprout, small, not yet fully grown, but clear enough to glimpse the shape of spring ahead. Outside, the Lunar New Year was almost there. The transition from the old year to the new was not only a change on the calendar, but a shift within the heart. After months of trials, they understood that life is never entirely smooth. There are floods that arrive without warning, distances that separate, and sudden waves of sadness. But as long as hope remains, as long as love endures, and as long as they continue to try, what seems closed can always reopen in another way. The story closes with a simple yet enduring belief. As long as the heart holds on to sincerity, as long as hands remain ready to grasp each other in times of difficulty, then no matter how much the past has lost, the future can still open into a spring of reunion, where unfinished pieces are gradually filled with patience and love. Please stay tuned for the next videos on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment to continue accompanying Hoài Ca and Hung on their journey ahead.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình nhé. Nay thì mình đang làm video về câu chuyện của Hoài Ca và Hùng. Hiện tại thì mình vẫn đang làm và chưa có hoàn thành đó mọi người. Và mình đang cố để hoàn thành sớm nhất có thể. Cảm ơn mọi người rất nhiều. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người trong những video sau.